9 hours and 33 seconds, 16 hours and almost 30 minutes, 21 hours, 37 minutes. Only bad things come from me being awake after 2 a.m. Am I capable enough to do this? Am I mentally prepared to read for 24 hours? And I think the answer was no. Please stop me from self-destructing because apparently that's my new favorite hobby. Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to your new favorite place on the internet. My name's Bella. I love talking about books, K-dramas, animes, literally anything that makes me happy, I love to share with you guys. We just have a lot of unhinged vibes going on in this channel, and I hope you guys are okay with that because another thing that I really love to do is doing reading challenges and just constantly setting up the bar higher and higher and seeing when or where or how I break. So I'm going to be doing the 24-hour reading challenge where I time myself for 24 hours. It's not necessarily going to be 24 hours straight. I will be using my phone as a timer, and every time that I'm reading, I'm going to be clicking that timer on, and every time that I stop reading, the timer stops. It's pretty easy. I've done it, well, it's pretty easy to understand. I've done it before on my channel, and I've also done a 48-hour version of this. If you haven't seen it, it's probably one of my most unhinged videos to the date. Let me talk you guys through my reasons behind my very unreasonable decision to do this 24-hour reading challenge. We only have 3 days left in the month of June, and I still haven't finished my June TBR, so I felt like this was the perfect challenge to boost me, to motivate me, to push me to read the books that I planned out to read this month. And also, my currently reading list has too many books on it at the moment. Every time that I look at it, I'm filled with this sense of anxiety and panic. And I already have enough panic and anxiety in my normal life. I really hope, or like I really wish that my reading life didn't also add to that stress. So with this challenge, I'm really hoping to just tackle a lot of my currently reading books and maybe even finish one or two, who knows. I thought it would be fun to go through my TBR. The first book that I want to try and finish for this challenge is Notes from the Underground and The Double, written by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I've been reading this since maybe like 7 or 10 days ago, and I've only made it, let me tell you right this second, I've only made it halfway through. I did finish the first story, which is The Underground, or Notes from the Underground, but I still have like 100 or 200 pages left, and I have zero motivation to read this right now. So this is literally the perfect challenge. I have read Notes from the Underground already, and I really enjoyed it. I love how bleak and dark and gloomy the story is, and I love how lonely and sad our main character is. I think it's weird to say that I love that, but in a way it's just very relatable. I hate relating to men, but I hate I hate relating to Dostoevsky men even more. I don't want to delve too deeply into that topic because it's still something that I can't wrap my head around. It's something that is definitely a red flag, but I like to pretend that I'm colorblind, so it's okay, we're moving on. This is the first book that I want to try and finish for this challenge. And then the next one is another book that's on my June TBR. After I read the first 3 chapters of this book, I never picked it back up again because I think that just life got in the way, One Piece got in the way, and after those first 3 chapters, even though I did enjoy them, I just didn't pick it back up again. So again, perfect challenge, perfect moment, perfect timing. That book is The Serpent and the Wings of Night, written by Carissa Broadbent. This is already, I only read 26 pages, so I definitely have a lot to get through. This has, let me see, this has a total of 491 pages, so not that bad, but also not that great. We will see how I fare with this book. I am really excited because I've heard so many great things about this book. I heard that there's vampires in a tournament, and it's very deadly, it's very, what's that word? Just very good. So I'm excited to see what all the fuzz is about because this has been getting a lot of hype, and hopefully this isn't one of those cases where the hype is wrong, but I don't think it is because people that I've trusted before have told me that this book is good. So I'm keeping an open mind and hoping that I love this because I do love me a good vampire story. The next book that I want to read for this challenge is actually an audiobook, and it's Home Before Dark, written by Riley Sager. I do feel myself wanting to re-enter my thriller era, and I feel like the perfect way to do that is by reading a Riley Sager book, so hopefully I enjoy it. It does have quite a lot of mixed reviews, so let's just see how I feel about it. I am going to be listening to this one as an audiobook, so if I ever get tired of all the physical books that I'm reading, this is going to be like a nice change up. The next book in my slightly ambitious TBR is The Count of Monte Cristo, the manga edition. I didn't even know this was a thing, but Catherine sent this to me as a gift. So Catherine, if you're watching, thank you so much. If you don't know, I actually read The Count of Monte Cristo, the original, well, not the original because the original is in French, but like I read the classic formatted Monte Cristo book. Sure, let's pretend that made sense. I read it back in February and I loved it. It's this humongous classic, but it was such a beautiful reading experience and I loved every single second of it. I just had so much fun getting to know this story and these characters, and now that I have the manga version, I'm just really excited to jump back into the story because I do miss my Edmond Dantes. He is such an incredible main character and his character arc is one of the best that I've read this year. So I'm really excited to read The Count of Monte Cristo in its manga version and just see how they depict certain scenes and certain moments, and I'm just very excited. It's definitely not 1,000 pages, so I'm also interested to see what scenes or what moments they decided to cut from the final product and see if it ruins the experience for me. I don't know. Overall, I'm just excited. The last book on my TBR is a little bit scary, a little bit terrifying, not gonna lie, and it's also a major motivator for me to do this reading challenge. And that book is Leo Tolstoy's Anna Karenina. Yes, it's finally happening. I put this book in my 23 books to read in 2023. We're already halfway through the year and I still haven't read this bad boy, so I feel like it's time. My goal is not to finish this book entirely, but I am behind on my buddy read. As you can see, I have a couple of daily goals up here, and it's been like maybe 4 or 5 days where I just have not picked this book up, so I'm definitely behind on my buddy read, and I'm hoping to use this reading challenge as a way to motivate me to pick this book up again and continue on with the story, because where I left off, which is here, yeah, I haven't read that much. Actually, it doesn't look like that much, but I have already read 226 pages. It's just that this book has 963 pages, so it doesn't look like much, but I have read some. And from what I've read, I'm actually really enjoying Anna Karenina, as you can see by the amount of tabs. I love all of the characters that we've met. Actually, that is a lie. There are definitely 1 or 2 characters that I wish a very painful death, but again, I understand that they are pivotal for the plot and that they represent an actual personality that exists in the real world. So I know that they're important to the plot, but they're just such a horrible human beings that I hope karma gets them in the end. That's all I'm going to say. But overall, I'm really interested by the plot, and I'm very excited to see where it's going to take us, where these characters are going to end up in. I really hope that I love all of these books. I do have, you know, high expectations for these because I have heard a lot of people say that they are great books. So I hope I feel the same way, and I hope this challenge doesn't kill me. And without further ado, I think I'm going to start by reading this one, since it's the one that I have the most progress in. Wish me luck. I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get this started. It's been 3 hours and 46 minutes since I started this challenge. I'm still feeling pretty okay. I'm not going to lie, when I first started, I had zero, and I mean zero, motivation to read. I literally did not want to pick up a book. I didn't even want to think of reading. Like, me reading words and hallucinating scenes in my brain just did not hit the spot that I wanted to hit. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to convey. Let's just converse telepathically from now on, because I feel like I don't know how to use words. Right from the start, I was just not in the reading mood. And honestly, I was kind of debating whether I should just kind of like give up. It's never happened where I want to give up as soon as I start. Right before I put on the timer, I was like, should I really do this? Am I capable enough to do this? Am I mentally prepared to read for 24 hours? And I think the answer was no, but I still pushed through. I don't think that was the healthiest thing to do, but hey, at least we're here. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't... Anyways, 3 hours and 46 minutes to read 150 pages, I think is a new record for me. Usually I'm pretty fast at reading 100 pages, but I think the fact that this is a classic, and also the fact that this was written by Dostoevsky, it definitely slowed my reading pace down, because there were just so many things that I wanted to annotate, and there were so many moments and quotes that I was just rereading over and over again, and I was trying to understand what Dostoevsky was trying to do with this book. It definitely took me a while to like want to be here, because when I first started, I was struggling so much, but after a while the story definitely picks up and it got easier to want to do this, and the challenge finally started feeling fun. So I don't want to come on here and be like, this challenge was so easy, I had fun every single minute of these 24 hours, because that's just not true. Sometimes 24 hours are going to feel very daunting, and some hours are going to be less fun than others. I have been reading this book for like 10 days, and I don't know why I just lost motivation to pick it up, but today, thanks to this challenge, I picked it back up again, and I actually really enjoyed it. Both of these short stories delve deep into the human psyche and basically the human condition. Like, Dostoevsky really said, let me write the most unhinged main character you will ever read about. And he succeeded. These stories take us on a tour of the darker aspects of human nature, and it's this psychological thriller, almost horror type of book, because specifically in the double, we're following this man who he encounters a man that is his doppelganger, and they are identical, they look the same, you cannot tell one from the other, and this new person that looks just like him is slowly taking over his life. He's taking over his job, he's taking over his friends, he's taking over his own home, and it's very interesting because we don't know if this is actually real. Like, we don't know if this is a delusion, we don't know if our main character is mentally ill. We do know that he's seeing a doctor. We don't know why. There are so many different things that are unclear because our main character or our narrator is very unreliable. As the story progresses, the boundaries between reality and fantasy start to blur, and it starts to get harder and harder to know what's actually happening and what's just going up in his head. It's a very interesting exploration of the complexities and dualities of man, and also the deteriorating mental state of our main character. I'm convinced that Dostoevsky has a gift for writing about inner demons and psychological conflict, and writing and creating these characters that feel so real and so relatable and oh so problematic. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed reading these two short stories and this book in general. I'm so happy that I pushed myself to read it because I actually ended up enjoying this quite a lot. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It's very daunting, it's very thought-provoking, and I would actually recommend it to you guys. I'm so happy, can I just say, I'm so happy that I ended up enjoying this book, because after the experience that I had with the Brothers Karamazov, I thought that Fyodor Dostoevsky was a one-hit wonder for me. and now he isn't. So I'm so happy that I could clear his name. And now that I've finished Notes from the Underground, I think I'm going to go ahead and pick up the Count of Monte Cristo manga version. I've just been so intrigued by this. Like, I need to know. I need to know how I'm going to feel about it. Am I going to be mad about the things that they decide to take out? Am I going to enjoy the design of the characters? I just need to know. So why don't we find out together? Let's go. 5 hours and 13 minutes into my 24-hour reading challenge, and I've officially finished my second book, which was The Count of Monte Cristo, a manga classic. This made me realize just how much I loved The Count of Monte Cristo, like the original book. Okay, let me just get it. I low-key miss holding this book in my hands. It's so nostalgic, even though it was just a couple of months ago, but this is the book that I took to my trip to Taiwan, and I literally took this book to every single coffee shop that I went to. I took this to every single park that I visited. I read this baby everywhere, and I just have so many wonderful memories just holding this and reading this and actually loving the story and the characters and sharing my thoughts with the friends that I was buddy reading this. It's just a book that means a lot, and I haven't been able to hold it for a while because like I haven't really had a reason to talk about it, but now I do because I read the manga version of The Count of Monte Cristo. Isn't that a sight to behold? Oh my goodness. Let me just do a little bit of ASMR for you guys. I'm really glad that I got to read the manga version, because even though it does cut a few scenes and it does really compress a lot of important moments here, it just puts it in like this tiny paragraph and it explains what happens and it explains how these characters are connected. Like, yes, it's definitely a lot more accessible than, you know, this 1,000-page hunk of a book, but I feel like the magic from The Count of Monte Cristo is not knowing who these characters are, because when you do find out, it comes as such a shock and so many things start to make sense. Your mind is high-key blown. That is something that I didn't really have with the manga edition, because a lot of the times they just told you who these people were and there wasn't really enough mystery, which you can definitely find in the original. But I do really love how they portrayed these characters, and even though the character arcs sometimes felt rushed, because obviously you don't have enough pages to, you know, truly portray these characters and their whole journey, which I totally respect. I still feel like they did a really good job at bringing this story to so many readers that maybe they're intimidated by the original version, so they've decided to pick up the manga. I feel like it's a very great way of introducing new readers to this story, but I still would highly recommend the original because nothing beats this bad boy. I'm telling you, I loved this book. I still really enjoyed the manga version. I think I'm going to be giving it 4 out of 5 stars because I just love the story, and I loved seeing the Count illustrated because he is just a very sexy man, especially when he's talking about revenge and, you know, killing the people that betrayed him. He is especially sexy then. I said what I said. Apparently that's another red flag that I have, but hey, once again, colorblind, meet me. If you have zero plans to read the original version of The Count of Monte Cristo, I definitely recommend picking up the manga version because I just feel like this is one of those stories that everybody has to experience. Everybody should get the chance to read this story in whichever format it comes to you, and I really enjoyed it, so I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. It was a really nice reading experience. I had fun rediscovering this story and coming back into this world and these characters. So now that I've finished The Count of Monte Cristo in one sitting, I think that's the only time that I would ever be able to say that. I finished The Count of Monte Cristo in one sitting. Now that I finished The Count of Monte Cristo, I'm going to be continuing with Home Before Dark. I have already started this audiobook. I literally started it like 2 weeks ago, and then I never picked it back up again for some reason. Like, I don't know. I just randomly started it and then I randomly gave up on it. So hopefully I'll be finishing this book during this challenge. So far, this book revolves around this haunted house where a lot of creepy stuff has happened. And our main character, Maggie, she is the daughter of this guy who wrote a best-selling novel based on the events that transpired. But her being part of the story, she is convinced that that whole book is a lie. He made up the whole thing about the haunted house and the dead bodies and like ghosts just to make money off of it. And she's just convinced that it didn't happen because she grew up there. Like, she lived through these things that her dad says happened, and she doesn't remember it that way. So when her dad dies, she decides to go back into that house and just see if it's real, see if there's any evidence that maybe the things that his dad describes in the book actually happened. But she is very adamant about the fact that this is not real, this is not haunted. Maybe it has a few weird things happening, but it's all explainable. It all has a reason behind it. It is not haunted. It is giving like Haunting of Hill House because we're following this family who ran away from this house, and the dad is convinced that the house was haunted, but some of the kids don't believe him. Some of them believe that he just had like a psychotic break, and one of the sons actually writes a novel about the haunted house. So there are definitely a lot of similar elements between Haunting of Hill House and Home Before Dark. I'm just excited to see if I'll like it. I'm really just craving a good thriller book, so fingers crossed this ends up being good. And yeah, let's just continue. 33 seconds since I started this reading challenge. It's been a couple of hours, 9 hours to be exact, and I've finished my third book. Stop. Okay, it's way too early in the challenge for me to not know this. But anyways, I have finished yet another book for this reading challenge, and that book is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I will be honest with you guys, there came a point in the story where I was not enjoying it. You know, I've read Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, I think back in 2019, and I remember being so in love with that story and so mind blown by the plot twists and just the story in general. And I think ever since then, I've been looking for that same type of feeling with every Riley Sager book that I read, and I haven't really found it. I know that I read another book by his, I think it was The House Across the Lake, and I really enjoyed that one, but it's not like a favorite thriller. And this one definitely isn't a favorite. It does have its moments, but I think it was maybe a little bit too long. I don't even own the physical book, so I don't know how many pages it actually has, but it just felt like the story at one point got too convoluted and the author tried to do too many things at the same time. But then at like 85%, it started to get good again. And if you've never heard of this book before, Home Before Dark is basically about this family who used to live in a haunted house, like an alleged haunted house. And our main character, Maggie, she is the child that grew up in that house, and she's never believed the stories to be true because her dad went ahead and wrote a whole book about their whole ordeal, and she's never believed it to be true. She's like, oh, my dad just wrote this for money. Like, how can a house be haunted? Ghosts aren't even real. What is this about? So when her dad dies, she decides to go to the house herself and just see what's up, see if anybody remembers these events, and just to see what really went down, because people have died in that house before from mysterious reasons. There's been some couple of murders, couple of fathers killing their daughters, and there's just like this whole mystery surrounding that house. So our main character, Maggie, she goes back to that house years later, I think it's 20 years later, and things start to happen, like very spooky things. She starts hearing different things, and there's this vinyl player that keeps on playing by itself at 4 in the morning, and it's very creepy. It's also told in 2 different points of view. So one of the points of view is from the father's perspective and like what he wrote in the book, and then we also have Maggie's perspective where she's like debunking everything that went down in that book. I think the concept was really interesting, but then it just lost me with everything that Riley Sager was trying to do and all of these different plot points that kept popping up. I was just like, sir, can we focus on one thing? You know that thing of like, if you do a lot of things at the same time, you're gonna be good at all of them, but you're not going to be great at one of them. I would rather he focus on one specific plot point and develop that one to perfection, instead of opening up like 10 different plot lines and trying to do all of these things at the same time. Like, I can see where he wanted to take us, but I wasn't going to go willingly, and I didn't. One of the things that I liked the most, and this is not trying to be funny, but like the thing that I enjoyed the most was the ending. Like when the book ended, it was so satisfying to see all of the different plot points converge into one, because it was like, oh my god, okay, I see the big picture now. I see the whole picture. It's that feeling of putting the last piece of the puzzle and then just being able to see the whole thing. Yeah, that was pretty satisfying. And because of that last 20%, I think I'm going to be giving this book 3 out of 5 stars, which is not bad at all. You know, I was expecting maybe like a 4-star, but I'm happy with a 3. You know, it's not something that I wouldn't necessarily recommend to you guys, but it's an okay audiobook to put on if you want to do something else, but you also want to listen to an audiobook. Maybe pick up Home Before Dark, but don't expect anything, you know, amazing. 9 hours into the challenge, 3 books down, and I think the next book that I want to pick up is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I am in such a big fantasy mood, and I am so excited to see if the hype is real. I want to know if I'm going to jump into the bandwagon or if I'm going to have to pretend that I never read this and hope that nobody remembers how excited I was. But I think I will, because again, it just sounds like something that I would really enjoy. And I always try to not go into books with too many expectations, but I have to be honest with you guys, the hype got to me. I'm expecting great things from this book, so hopefully it doesn't disappoint. Wish me luck, and let's get this started. It's been 16 hours and almost 30 minutes, and I'm stopping it for now because I thought now would be a great time to update you guys on how I'm doing. I'm okay. Am I though? I have finished another book. I finished The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I literally read this so fast. I was not expecting to read this bad boy as fast as I did. I don't even remember the time that I finished this, but oh my goodness, I loved this book. The hype is real. I'm here to let you guys know the hype is real. All of the good reviews that this book is getting are so deserved, and I am so excited to continue with this series because I just completely fell in love, head over heels, no parachute. I fell in love with this story and these characters and this world and the writing. I think it was all just done so beautifully, and I was just so in tune with this world and what was going on, and I was so in love with everything that was going on and how intense it was, how violent it was, how insanely entertaining, and how fun it was. I just had a really fun reading experience, and I think the fact that I am in such a big fantasy romance mood definitely helped in me having such a good reading experience. I ended up giving this book 4.5 out of 5 stars because I just had so much fun. I loved the characters, I love their character arcs, I love how the story progresses. If you don't really know what the story is about, basically we live in a world with vampires and they rule the world. Our main character, she is a human, and for some reason that we don't really know about, the king of the vampires actually saves her from her burning village, and he raises her, he shows her the ropes in this vampire world. He shows her how to survive, he shows her how to fight back, and it's this interesting father-daughter relationship where she's not really his daughter, but they act like they are, and it's this very, yeah, I think interesting is a good word for what the relationship is. But anyways, our main character is brought up by vampires, but she is human. There's this tournament where everybody can participate. It's basically this fight to the death with different trials and different battles. There's like some team effort also at times, but at the end of the day, it's just you against everybody else that's participating. And the person that gets this tournament actually gets to ask a wish from their goddess. So it's like a very high stakes situation for our main character. Literally, she is the prey and she's competing against her predators. The possibilities of her winning are very, very low, but thanks to some key characters, she may have a chance. And I just really enjoyed this book. It was so fun. I think I went to sleep like at 12 a.m. because I just did not want to put this book down until I reached the last page. And now that I did, now that I reached the last page, I kind of wish that I didn't because I don't have the sequel with me. And the fact that this book ends on a cliffhanger, I mean, it's not really a cliffhanger, but I definitely need book 2 with me. So I am 100% going to be continuing on with this series. Also, if you see me sweating, no you don't. No you don't. No you don't. Now that I've finished The Serpent and the Wings of Night, I have been continuing my journey of Anna Karenina, written by Leo Tolstoy. Before I started this reading challenge, I was on page 227. I've been reading for a couple of hours and I am now in page 361, which is part 3, chapter 20. As you can see, my collection of tabs has definitely grown. I do have a lot of thoughts and opinions concerning this story and these characters because I swear there is zero brain cells going on, especially from Anna Karenina, which like I expected a little bit better from her, but at the same time, I just read this one passage that kind of helps me understand why she's doing the things that she's doing. When I read this, I was like, oh my goodness. And you know, I also basically annotated the whole page. So this is what she says. Have I not tried with all my might to find a purpose in my life? Have I not tried to love him, tried to love my son when I could no longer love my husband? But the time came when I understood that I could no longer deceive myself, that I am alive and I cannot be blamed because God made me so, that I want to love and to live. And now, if he killed me, if he had killed him, I would have borne anything, I would have forgiven anything. But no, he knows it all, knows that I cannot repent of breathing, of loving, knows that nothing but lies and deception can come of this arrangement, but he wants to continue to torture me. I know him. I know that he swims and delights in falsehood as a fish does in water. But no, I will not give him that pleasure, come what will. I will break this web of lies in which he wishes to entangle me. Anything is better than lies and deception. Was a woman ever as unhappy as I am? Like, come on now, Anna? I feel so bad for her. Like, yeah, she brought this upon herself, but at the same time, the odds are so horribly against her. It's so sad and so tragic, and I literally don't know anything of Anna Karenina. I know it's been, you know, it's been out for a couple of years, but I've been really lucky in not really knowing what is going to go down in these other 700 pages. So I'm excited to continue this story, but if I ever get tired of reading this hunk of a classic, I do have another audiobook by Riley Sager that, you know, I could just put on if I ever need to like break. And it's this one book that's called Survive the Night. I think that would be like a cool break between Anna Karenina, just ever if I need a little breather here and there, that's an alternative. But for now, I'm really happy with Anna Karenina, so I think I'm going to continue reading this maybe until the 20-hour mark, which would mean 4 more hours of reading Anna Karenina, which I'm totally fine with. Yeah, I'm just having a very interesting reading experience, and so far, I think I'm enjoying this one a lot more than War and Peace, which is a relief, honestly. It's very interesting to see how Leo Tolstoy's writing varies depending on what he's writing about, because usually with authors, you can kind of tell that they have this sort of writing style and they use specific phrasings and they have specific tropes that they always like to use. But with Leo Tolstoy, even though there are some characters that remind me of other characters in War and Peace, this feels a lot more digestible in a way. Like, it's not as cumbersome to read Anna Karenina as it was to read War and Peace. And maybe it's because in War and Peace, I was so focused on finding different themes and different historical moments and events because I had a very specific like annotation key, but with this one I'm literally just annotating anything that I want, and I think that's also helping me have a better reading experience. I thought I would mention that because I think it's interesting to see how Leo Tolstoy's biggest works, Anna Karenina and War and Peace, compare to each other and also the similarities that they may have. So yeah, Anna Karenina, it's been an interesting journey. Hopefully I'll still be enjoying it 500 pages from now. My goal for today is to reach the halfway point, which would be page 483. That means I have this much left, which, you know, it doesn't look like much, but it kind of is. It's literally 120 pages. So we'll see if I can read that in the next 4 hours. Espérate, estoy sudando. Okay. Last thing, I know that I already talked about this, but I just wanted to bring back The Serpent and the Wings of Night one last time for a couple of minutes because I just honestly loved this book so much, and there are so many scenes and so many moments that have me squealing, crying, screaming, shivers running down my spine. I was astral projecting. I was transported into another universe. It was just an incredible reading experience, and I wish I could talk about this book in depth with you guys, but I'm not really that good because mostly all I do when trying to talk about a book is I just go from point to point, never really concluding anything. I'm just like at all times just talking about whatever goes into my head. As you can see by all the tabs, I have a lot of favorite moments. Like the purples are favorite moments, and there are a lot of them. Like, just look at the amount of highlighting that I did. I don't know, that's kind of crazy, but like in a good way. I just had so much fun. Look, it's like the whole page. I love this from, oh, se fue la luz. Okay, anyways, I guess that means my camera wants me to shut up, so I'll leave. Thank you for listening to me. Goodbye. Can you change? Can you like respect my opinion? Are you just not going to change to the color that I want you to in this economy? You're such a Karen. Oh my God. Okay, listen, I just want to have a conversation about what you think is Oh, it was the other way around. It's 1:58 in the morning. Hi. And I've just finished Survive the Night by Riley Sager. I don't have that much time because my camera is already blinking. I did not charge it, and that's on me. You know what I mean? That's on me. Wait, let me tell you guys what hour I'm in for this reading challenge. 21 hours, 37 minutes. So I have 3:23, I have 2 hours and 23 minutes left. I've been doing this since Tuesday afternoon. It's currently Saturday, yeah. And I really don't want to spend my weekend doing this reading challenge because, like, bro, I just want to watch some anime, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to not have to read. And matter of fact, I've kind of already finished my TBR and then went above and beyond. So, like, I don't know, like, should I just stay awake and read on a karenina and just see how much I can read? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's what I'm gonna do because I'm wide awake. Wait, I should tell you guys if I enjoyed Survive the Night. I did. Survive the Night is the main and only reason that I'm still awake at 2 a.m. I mean, usually I would be so asleep right now. I'm not even here. But Survive the Night is so, it's definitely the most nerve-wracking thriller that I've ever read. Literally, it's like I was clutching my chest. I was going like this. I was screaming at our main character because sometimes she does the most stupid things and she is so unreliable because you can't really know if what she's seeing is true or not because she has some problems up here. I mean, we all have some problems. I'm not trying to say that she's unreliable just because she has mental illness, because then who would be reliable, you know what I mean? But she has hallucinations. This is not a spoiler. This is literally, like, she talks about this in the first few chapters. And she tells us this to let us know, like, hey, sometimes I could be making everything up. This could be a dream. And we just don't know, which makes it even creepier and even, like, more frustrating and nerve-wracking and, like, it... My anxiety was so spiked. My anxiety has reached new levels that I didn't even know could be reached inside of my body, inside of my brain, inside of my chemistry, biology, sure. Okay, Survive the Night. It's basically every girl's worst realistic nightmare, but also it's based on something that I feel like a smart girl would never do, which is get in a car with a stranger. I don't think, like, in this day and age, oh, maybe that's okay, so in this day and age, I feel like we are pretty smart enough to not get in a car with strangers. So maybe that's why this book is set in 1991. Because back then, you know, horror movies were still pretty fresh, you know, new concepts were coming out and new ideas, new whatever, you know what I mean? It's in the 90s, okay? Like, what? The 90s are a crazy time. So maybe that's why this girl got into this car with this man that she had no idea. Especially with her best friend being murdered by a campus killer. You know, it makes sense why it's set in 1991, because if it happened in 2023, that's kind of stupid, you know what I mean? But now it kind of makes sense. And yeah, so our main character, she gets into this car with a stranger, and halfway through the ride, she is convinced that he is the campus killer and he is the one that killed her best friend. And now she's like, oh my God, I am going to die. Oh my God, how do I get out of this situation? How do I alert somebody that my life is in danger? And it's like all of these different situations that made my, I don't know, like my heart was beating so fast and I was like sweating and I was like screaming at this person that can't even listen to me. And it was a very intense experience. That's why I'm like so jittery right now, even though it's like 2 a.m. I have way too much energy because the adrenaline that was coursing through my veins as I was reading this book was just insane. It was crazy, it was wild. But the thing is, like, not to spoil anything, I will not, don't worry. But I did see every single plot twist coming, And that took like a little bit away from the enjoyment because I was like, okay, it was like a little bit too obvious, and I do like to be surprised when I'm reading thrillers. So like when both of my theories ended up being correct and like very on the nose, I was like, oh, all right, sure. I still feel like the resolution was pretty good, and I really did like the ending. So even though, you know, I have to take off a couple of points because the main character, she really was making some very dumb decisions, and I as a woman, I as a feminist cannot stand for that. Because our main character was just doing a lot of stupid things, and there were a couple of decisions where I'm like, girly pop, are you so serious right now? Are you so for real? Because of that, and then because of the fact that the plot twist and just like the plot in general was very obvious, I think I'm going to be reducing 1 star. I think I'm going to give this bad boy 4 out of 5 stars. Yeah, it was good. Like, it was really good. Oh my god. Like, yeah, it was good. I would actually recommend this one. I don't know, like, this is definitely better than the other Riley Sager book that I read earlier, I think yesterday, or like, I don't even know when I read. These 24 hours have been so hard for me. I don't even know when I read Home Before Dark, but this book, Survive the Night, is definitely 100 times better than Home Before Dark. So Riley Sager, he had a miss, but he also had a hit. So like, we stay winning, you know what I mean? We love duality. We love that. Now I'm kind of wondering if I should give authors that I haven't liked a second chance, because like, what if an author that I read the wrong book of has actually written a pretty solid book that I've never given the chance to? Okay, this is just me rambling at 2 a.m. I think because I'm so riled up. Oh my god, it looks like I have short hair. Okay, before I just completely go off on a tangent, I think, wait, how much time do I have left? Yeah, I said 2 hours and 23 minutes. I think I'm going to try and read for as much as I can. Anna Karenina, that is. And since it is a classic, it's, you know, it's a little bit harder to like lose myself in the story. I'm just gonna see for how long I can read, and maybe I'll pass out like at 3 a.m, which is fine. I did read quite a bit of Anna Karenina today, and I'm honestly really enjoying it. I know that I mentioned it before, but like, I just wanna reiterate. I've never said that word out loud. Reiterate. I just want to repeat myself. Not me trying to be fancy with these SAT words at 2 a.m. Anyways, even though I have already talked about Anna Karenina, I just wanted to mention yet again that I'm really enjoying it, and it's become so messy and so dramatic and also really emotional. And like, at times I say that I hate these characters, and then the next chapter shows me why I shouldn't, and it shows me how this situation is a lot more complex and a lot more convoluted and complicated than I thought it was. And like, there are some underlying reasons between these unreasonable actions that these characters are taking, and there's like levels and levels and levels to these characters, and I'm really enjoying my time discovering them and getting to know them. And yeah, sometimes I want to slap these characters in the face because they're ruining their own lives and they are not thinking straight. They truly think that love is everything. It's really not, but like, maybe when you're in the middle of it, it's just really hard and you're just blinded by it all. I don't know, but I'm just really enjoying my time reading Anna Karenina, and I think that's the perfect way to just spend these last few hours of the reading challenge. Maybe while I read, I can charge my camera so that I can actually talk to you guys, but I think it would be fun. I think it would be fun to end this reading challenge with me at like 5 a.m. just completely unhinged and being like, guys, I read for 24 hours. So I think that's what I'm gonna do because it sounds fun. Again, I'm still pretty like jittery and the adrenaline is still just like coursing through my body. So like, you know, I might as well make good use of my time. Can I change the colors again? I should have used this color the whole time. Oh, now I'm upset. Oh, okay, anyways, just whatever, okay, whatever, I don't care. Now I'm going to go look for my copy of Anna Karenina. 2 hours and 23 minutes left on my timer. Wish me the best of luck, and let's get this restarted. It's happening on live television. Oh my God, it's happened. Oh my God, this is real. This is, let me just screenshot. Thank you so much. Goodbye, sayonara. Oh my God, I did it. I read for 24 hours. I didn't even need to stay up this late, but look at me. Yes. Right, folks, so my limit has been found. What limit, you ask? Oh, the limit of my sanity. Yes, only bad things come from me being awake after 2 a.m. Please, please, please stop me from self-destructing, because apparently that's my new favorite hobby. I was listening to White Horse because, you know, it's 4 a.m. What else am I supposed to listen to? Yeah, White Horse, underrated, gut-wrenching Taylor Swift song. But anyways, it's 4:37 in the mañana. I have officially completed my 24-hour readathon, and like, yeah, let's discuss why I thought this was ever going to be a good idea. Let's discuss how I constantly put myself in situations where I just know that I'm going to rot. Anyways, let's talk about all the books that I read for this 24-hour reading challenge. I finished 5 books. Can I get a high five? Thank you so much. Thank you for believing in me. I honestly did not think that I was going to do as good as I did. Like, full disclosure, I do not believe in myself 97% of the time. So this was quite a surprise. Let's see. I do have the books with me. Worry not, my friends. The first book that I finished for this challenge was Notes from the Underground and The Double by Fyodor Dostoevsky, and I added a few tabs, you know, just a few. I'm not really in a position to speak eloquently about these books, so I'm just going to remind you of the ratings, and then maybe future Bella, I'm so sorry, you're going to hate me so much for this.
Oh, I can't believe you've done this.
Somewhere here we can talk about like the total amount of pages that I read. I feel like that would be interesting. So yeah, this first book I gave 4 out of 5 stars, and this was the first book that I finished for this reading challenge. Then I read The Count of Monte Cristo, the manga version, and yeah, I also really enjoyed this one. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. Again, I highly recommend the original The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas, because I feel like that is one of the best classics that I've read this year, and just like in general as well. So if you have the chance, if you have the opportunity, don't let fear stop you from reading one of the best classics out there. But if you don't really want to commit to a 1,000-page classic, then the manga is a nice alternative. And yeah, Monte Cristo is hot, so like it's nice. It's a nice way of, you know, getting acquainted with this story if you don't really want to read the majestic obra de arte that Monte Cristo is. I'm sorry, my English is losing. What? It's not losing, my English is seeping out of me as we speak. But anyways, after The Count of Monte Cristo, I listened to Home Before Dark by Riley Sager, and that's actually the only 3-star book that we have in this wrap-up. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. After that, I picked up what is probably my favorite book of the ones that I read for this reading challenge, which was The Serpent and the Wings of Night, written by Carissa Broadbent. Carissa, yeah, I love this. This is the highest rated book that I read for this reading challenge. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I've already ordered the sequel and I am planning on reading the prequel as well. I don't know if it's a prequel or just like a short story, but either way, I am going to be reading both of those because I have fallen in love with this world and these characters and the writing style as well. I just really love how Carissa Broadbent builds this whole new world, and she does it in such a way that is so immersive and so fun and so high stakes, and the smut is amazing. It's very interesting that I read this so close to the time that I read Fourth Wing, because even though they don't really have that many similarities, there are a few scenes or a few moments between our main character and another character that really reminded me of Xaden and Violet, which are the two main characters of Fourth Wing. So I thought it was pretty interesting to see that there are like a few similarities between two books that are recently being very popular at the same time. I just thought it was interesting that they both had like similar things happening, and I mean that in the best way possible. The other book that I read was Survive the Night by Riley Sager. This one definitely redeemed Riley Sager for me. I definitely want to try and read more of his books now because, I mean, I literally talked to you guys about this book like 3 hours ago, so like, you know how I feel about this book. Yeah, this one was a 4 out of 5 stars. Why am I burning up? Am I okay? Am I okay? I don't think so. Anyways, yes, Survive the Night, 4 out of 5 stars. Incredible. And then the last book, I didn't finish it because obviously that was not the goal. I was just really behind on my buddy read, and I wanted to take this reading challenge as a way to motivate me to finally pick back up Anna Karenina. I read a total of 336 pages of this bad boy. Why am I so orange? I swear I'm not in Jersey Shore right now. I'm so sorry. That is disgusting. That is so sexy. Yeah, so I read 336 pages of Anna Karenina. I started in page 227, and this is what holy crap on a cracker, that's insane. That is so many pages. These are all of the new tabs. This is what I read. It really doesn't look like that much, but I swear it is, because this is a 963 page book, so like 300 pages doesn't look like much, but I promise it is. I've been through the ringer, but more than me, these characters are going through a lot, and I feel so bad for them. Leo, yeah, we're on a first name basis now. Leo is such a mastermind. The way that he weaves all of these different perspectives and all of these different storylines. I'm just awestruck by Tolstoy's imagination and his power, and yeah, it's just like, yeah, like the way that he parallels the different storylines and the way that he makes you compare them, and that helps you realize the whole thesis of this book is just insane. And I'm officially over halfway through. Oh my god, look at that. Yeah, I'm officially over halfway through Anna Karenina, and I am loving this so much. So far, it's like a very, very solid 4-star. And depending on how this book ends, it may even go up to a 5-star. I don't know. I just know that I'm really, really enjoying this. There are some bits that I don't enjoy, which is like, there were like these 5 chapters where Levin, which is one of our main characters, he was just farming. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine. We love a good farmer boy. But he was just going on and on about mowing and like, oh my god, this is so hard. And like, I know there is meaning behind these chapters, but at the same time, do we need 5 chapters of him mowing his lawn? I don't think we do. But with that said, Levin is my favorite character. Let the record show. Levin, well, actually that's a spoiler, so I'm not gonna say it, but Levin and his love interest I'm fully invested in their love story. It literally gives me so much happiness. And yeah, it's just fantastic. I've just been having such an incredible time reading Anna Karenina. Hopefully I'll be finishing it in July. I am currently in part 5, chapter 13, page 563. There are, I think, 8 parts. There are 8 parts and I'm in part 5. So anyways, this is a quick little overview of all of the books that I read for this challenge. I am very, very happy with how I did, considering the fact that I had 0 reading motivation before I started this challenge. And even at the beginning, the first 3 hours were really, really hard for me because I did not want to read. I'm honestly very proud of myself, and I'm really, I don't know, I'm just very excited to share this with you guys so that you guys can see how I'm doing. And all of these incredible books that I've been reading, like, I did not know that my TBR was going to be this bang, huh? I didn't know my TBR was going to be this banging, but like, what does that mean? I didn't know my TBR was going to be this, I had no idea that my TBR was going to be such a slay, but I am so happy because I had so much fun. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. What book? Actually, I don't know what I want to ask you. Wait, hold up. Wait, what challenge do you want to see me do next? Because I have done a 48-hour reading challenge before, but that one actually like made me physically sick. I don't think I'm ready for that one yet, and I am preparing to do a 24-hour live stream. So I don't know about that, babes, but if you guys have any other reading challenges that you would like to see me do, or any videos in general, please leave them down below because, you know, I aim to please. Your wish is my command. I do call you guys my simps, but honestly, the real simp is me for you. So there we go. If you're still here, why don't you go ahead and leave this emoji so that I know that you stayed until the end and you're a true simper. Once again, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I feel like I'm falling asleep as I speak. Dude, I'm so close to the end. I can smell the finish line. Okay. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed, and if you did, say it with me. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It really helps my channel out, and it helps me keep doing what I love to do, which is these videos for you guys. And apparently, I just love losing my mind if it's all for you. I also have a Patreon where I post exclusive content, reading vlogs, reading sprints, everything that you can imagine you can find in my Patreon. On my Patreon? Exactly that. If that is something that sounds interesting to you, I would love, love, love to have you join my army of premium simpers. Once again, I love you guys so very much, and I will definitely be seeing you next time. Bye! I honestly don't know how I just did that. How did I remember all of that? I'm not even here, babes. I'm not even here. I'm not even here.
Hey Jimmy, you nice, keep going.